Welcome to the iHemp Hour. I'm Dave Craybill with iHemp Michigan. iHemp Michigan's mission is to educate, inform, and promote the research, development, and cultivation of industrial hemp in Michigan. iHemp Michigan advocates for wellness in people and the planet through hemp, and it begins with the farmer. I want to update everyone. We're still accepting donations, and you can get a cool hemp t-shirt for donating to our hemp mask donations. Yeah, there we go. I'll support the blue one here. So we have these masks are made from hemp fiber. They're a triple layer. We donated a couple hundred of these to the state of Michigan, and we're looking at ordering some more. We do have a few in stock that you can acquire through a simple donation. So just visit the iHemp Michigan page, the iHemp Hour page, under events, and you can get involved in the mass donation. Mike, do you have some news to share with us?
Yeah, well, we continue to expand our streaming video, aka internet TV offerings, and on July 8th, we're going to be partnering with Rick Thompson, who's well known in the state as one of the founders of the recreational marijuana laws, and before that, the medical marijuana laws. Helped write him. He's part of Michigan NORML. And then Jamie Cooper, who is working with Sensi Magazine right now. She's going to be a special guest, and we're going to launch that on Wednesday, July 8th, and do it about every other week to start out, see how it works out. We'll be looking at hemp and cannabis legislation. We'll be looking at mostly cannabis-related community kinds of stuff, and some of the big companies. We're getting a lot of multi-state operators coming into Michigan, because I think we're now ranked number 2 or 3 in the hit parade of the most active states for recreational cannabis. And then also we're going to be doing a lot of virtual events, and someday hope to be doing live events again, but we don't know when that's going to be. So right now we got to work with virtual, right? And so like we're doing today. So we're excited about that. So we'll be giving some hemp coverage to that as well in that show, but focus primarily on recreational cannabis. And of course, the medical marijuana part is going to be morphed into the recreational part sometime next year. So it'll be all one thing. So we'll be covering that as well. And I'm going to mostly let the experts talk and just kind of keep the show moving forward. And so we're going to have some really good material for you. And we'll be streaming that live on Facebook, and of course, then taking the segments and offering them separately so you can watch them on demand. So that's the end of my shameless pitch.
Good job. All right. Blaine, what do you have going on?
Well, it's been an interesting week, that's for sure. Weather's going to get hot this week, so hopefully everyone's got some water to their little babies out there growing. So we'll get that, and been a good week with the hemp feed project going on. We had a meeting yesterday with some of the players, the major players, and I suspect that within 2 or 3 months we're going to have some research going on, if not before that, on some smaller acres. So we got to thank the Hemp Feed Coalition for that, and MSU is going to be part of that. The professors are going to get involved, so I'm real encouraged where that's going. Certainly.
Yeah, MSU and U of M were on the call, weren't they?
I've got anybody or not? Oh, on yesterday? Yeah, they were on the call yesterday, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been going good. And so I got a little trivia question here. I've been kind of reading over some things, and I kind of feel like Hank Gimbel. So whoever can put in the chat, first of all, what show and who Hank Gimbel was, we're going to give away a little bottle of that maple syrup. So use your chat. And the first one that gives us the right answer for that, we'll get your address later, and we'll send you out that. So I'll give you the answer at the end of the show for sure. So good kind of some news releases. This is kind of interesting. Michigan, the grain stocks that we have on the farms right now. Grain stock for 2020 on June 1st was about 100 million bushels, 2% higher than a year earlier. Soybean stock were about 4.1 million bushels. That was 9% lower than last year. And the wheat stocks were about 22.3 million bushels, 28% below last year. So They haven't started putting hemp in here yet, but trust me, eventually in the future, we're going to be having hemp report in there as well, how many bushels we got on. I can tell you how much I got. I still got 20,000 pounds of hemp grain, but having some real success with that. Going to have some big announcement in the next week. And we have some hemp oil, and we're going to have hemp flour, and we're going to have
Seed oil.
hemp hearts as well. So another shameless plug, but that's the way that works. So
We have an answer to your question there, Blaine. Is it we got a couple of them. Which one is it? Is it either one?
whoever was first, Yep. So Hank Gimble was the extension agent on Green Acres. That's who he was.
Really?
Got to be a little bit older for that one, maybe, to get that one. So
Right.
Clean Sweep is going on in Van Buren County. Registration is due by July 22nd. So Clean Sweep is where people can take all their leftover pesticides, herbicides, that kind of stuff, and get it taken care of correctly instead of just dumping the containers out and on the ground. It's a free disposal option for unwanted agricultural pesticides. The Clean Sweep pesticide collection for Berrien, Cass, and Van Buren County is Wednesday, July 29th in Benton Harbor. It's open to all Michigan farmers, greenhouse, golf courses, pesticide retailers, and individuals, but you must register at least 1 week prior to the event. And we'll get the information up on that. But that's from the Pawpaw, Van Buren County, NRCS. So we'll put that information up there. And let's see, we're going to do this. We're going to do the recipe later. We have a good recipe for the upcoming holiday season here. So, but that's the news that I got for you right now. Also, don't forget that you need to report your FSA acres if you're going to do that. You have until July 15th. I highly recommend that you do that if you're farming hemp this year. You're going to have to next year. So be good to get some of the little paperwork out of the way this year for that. It doesn't take very long, but I highly suggest you do that. But it is my pleasure now to present Jaron and Sarah from Barn Owl Drone Services. I heard about their services, I don't know, 4 weeks or so, or 4 months ago. And they can actually help us out by picking out the males from the fields using some drone technology. So pretty exciting there. It's a drone and robotic service provided focused on agriculture. They founded in 2017. Technology systems create solutions for farmers based on their specific needs and operations. Some of their solutions included crop monitoring, precision scouting, plant health, marketing, and hemp specific male detection and removal. Their background, they kind of come from the restaurants and arts and small unmanned aircraft operations after flying for a couple of different drone companies. Yeah, small arms. That's what
Shoot them males, God darn it.
I said that.
Small arms are average size.
I know those drones have some technology, but I'm not sure you're arming them that way. Although with some of the theft we had going on last year,
That would be cool. Surveillance
you can
drones.
certainly cure some of that.
Mhm.
Well, they say the pen is mightier than the sword, so in a way, you're armed with information.
There you go.
There we go.
So anyway, so that's kind of what I'm gonna turn it over to them. They're from La Junta, Colorado, if I said that correctly. And guys, take it away. I didn't say it correctly either, right? Okay. Well, you fill me in where I messed up. How's that?
Nice.
That was pretty close. La Junta, it means the junction in Spanish. It's a small town in eastern Colorado that my grandparents parked here. My grandpa was a railroad man, and the origin of the town is it started as a junction point on the Santa Fe Trail. It's pretty interesting. It's very, very rugged plains town. The pioneers came in. We really like it. My sister lives in Colorado Springs, and we manage a pretty wide territory with a few really key customers that we pour our entire heart and soul into. And I guess, hey, you want to do the Genesis story?
Yeah, so we started Barn Owl after kind of just noticing an opportunity and a need for the application of drone and robotic technology in all of the farming industry. As far as hemp specific, we just kind of fell in love with the hemp plant and the potential benefits that it can provide on a fiber side, on a food side, on a regenerative side. So we don't necessarily focus on hemp specifically. We do all crops, as many crops as we can, but hemp is special to us. some of the things that we do are, I guess, just as far as the data side. So we'll come out to your farm weekly or however often you want us to come out. We'll monitor your crops for you. So we process change by week. So if there's something that's going on from an aerial view, we'll be able to notice that immediately. And then we also get really, really close to canopies, and then we're working on some other solutions to get underneath canopies, robotic solutions for that. But yeah, basically we try our best to find solutions for you as a farmer, your specific needs. So all of our services are completely tailored, for Blaine or for Michael or for Dave. And if you don't want something that we're offering, we're never going to charge you for it. So if you only want male detection, then we'll create a pricing structure that fits just for you.
I'd like to kind of bore into that, how you pick out the males, because my main publication is Michigan Technology News. So we covered drones, we covered technology. And when Dave and I were talking before we came on air, and I go, this is going to be fascinating. I don't know how you do this. So how do you do that?
We work very, very hard. So what we did, we've been trying to solve this problem for probably 4 years now. Even before we started Barn Owl Drone Services, I was working on a weeding crew for a small farmer, small hemp farmer, CBD hemp. So we weren't growing fiber, but yeah, we were hoeing weeds and we were roguing males, and it became a problem that needed a solution, right? And so we, just stayed out there in the field and started noticing things and kept working hard in the hot sun, and then started to figure some stuff out, right? Everybody was looking for kind of a more alternative solution. They're like, oh, you should throw a thermal camera on there. You should use near infrared or whatever. And, being out in the field, you can recognize it just visually. And so kind of our whole process is we try to replicate. So we're very incrementalistic with our progress approach, right? So we try to replicate traditional scouting techniques. You're out in an alfalfa field or a cornfield, you make a W pattern, or I guess it would be an M pattern in Michigan, and then you pull certain samples and you look at the visual characteristics. Well, we said, why can't you do that with a drone, right? So we just started flying low and slow and crazy close to the crop, and realizing that we could be as effective. So we can create an information package as good as if you were out there in the field yourself, but you're sitting in the air conditioned, office with a cup of coffee or
that would be Dave. Yeah. So,
yeah. So however you do it. So we then proceeded to use these different techniques, and then chip away at a particular process, so that we could analyze an entire, I guess we can do a quarter section pivot, so no corners. Our capacity right now with 2 pilots and 2 drones is we can do 1 hemp male detection and removal sweep. 140 acres per day is our capacity. So that's kind of how we do it. We use a very strategic process. We fly the drone in a particular way so that it oh, by the way, this process is patent pending, so don't get any ideas, anybody.
Yeah, good.
We're recording this, by the way. So go ahead, tell us the details. Go ahead, I'm all ears, right? So
we have a specific flight pattern that we'll use over the field to ensure replicatability. We do our process over the course of the entire reproductive stages, so it's more of a maintenance strategy, right? Because hemp will start its reproductive stages. It's very variable. Like one plant will show its sex on one day, and then 3 days later, another plant will just start. And so, that at the end of the day, we take really, really close pictures, really high resolution pictures. Our specific process for sweeping the field with the drone. Ensures that we can get eyes on the entire field on 140 acres.
I'm the only non-farmer in this group, so I'm the city guy. Do you use AI, or is it just you're so familiar with what the males look like, or how do you do that exactly?
We do. Initially, we were just looking at the photographs themselves, and we can pull the location of a photograph out with the computer and then generate a map for an exact location. So it just increases our efficiency. But yes, we did. My sister, she's freaking brilliant. She's a graduate of Texas State University and Colorado State University. So go Bobcats, go Rams. But yeah, after we kind of got the system by which you could do it with humans, then we taught the computer to identify the male plant in the image. So that's gonna actually increase our capacity, because most of the time we were spending looking through photographs, just it's a lot of photographs too.
That's what I'm saying. You need something that processes that very quickly, and that would be artificial intelligence. I mean, we're getting ready to launch a platform where we're going to use AI to sort through all of our videos. So we're going through the same thing, right? It's just way too much for the human mind to be able to deal with in a timely manner.
Well, she's really sharp. She's got a mind with a large capacity. But I'll show you an image I took. Let me share the screen of some corn. Are you, even though you're not a farmer, are you familiar with corn?
Yeah, I live in Michigan, so I am somewhat familiar with farming, but I am not a farmer.
Right on. Well, this image just shows the detail in which you can capture imagery in the field without ever stepping foot into the field. So the advantages to that is it increases your scouting speed. You know what they say, the farmer's footsteps are the best fertilizer. So, I mean, it's a metaphor, so you don't actually have to walk into the field, and I'm a lazy entitled millennial, so how am I going to do that anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So host-disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Well, let me.
He'll fix that for you.
But yeah, the machine learning program that we developed for hemp nail detection, like Jaron was saying, increases our capacity by at least double. So I think with that program, we're just the two of us, we're at about 300 acres per day.
Wow.
We'll test it.
Impressive.
Yeah, we don't know exactly. We did a side-by-side with the regular old Rogan crew and versus us. So we found that our minimum labor leverage quantity we're as good as 5 people right now.
Wow.
And it's actually closer to 10 people per person. So we have the ability to be as effective as 10 individual rogers just going up and down the rows.
That's
in the
amazing.
same amount of time. And then
I think you can share your screen now. So
try again, Jerry.
show us what you got.
Awesome. Here's a picture of corn. Well, I guess I got to push the button first, huh?
Yep. Good idea.
Okay, so I'll share the entire.
I love technology. So are you guys using fixed wings drones or?
No, we're using Mavic 2 Pros and Mavic 2 Zooms. So we use each one for its individual drone powers or whatever. The 2x zoom will help us replicate that closeness to the plant, but we use it in like high wind situations where we need to fly a little bit higher to the canopy, or if there's much more rolling terrain. So here is
it a lot? I'm not. Oh, there we go.
Of sweet corn, right? So this is kind of the strategy that we use. Just input a hemp plant picture right here, and let me try to zoom in. So we can zoom into this photograph, and you can see all sorts of stuff. You can quantify anthesis for people who aren't, as plant nerdy as I am. That means the shedding of pollen sacs. And anthesis can be identified in the male hemp plant as well. You can identify silks. You can identify insect or disease pressure, not the actual insects themselves. Well, you can see the little bugs, you just can't identify what they are. But, you know, in alfalfa, you can see shot holes. So I'm not sure what kind of bugs you guys have way up there, or if any at all. When I was in Michigan last year, it was wonderful weather. Oh, look, we can see some pollen, see some anthesis and some pollen shedding right onto the leaves, which is always a good sign.
Amazing.
Yeah, you can see some issues on the leaves, but corn leaves are rarely perfect.
And so what we do with this is what we call our precision scout. So for, you know, any crop, hemp or corn or whatever else, we'll go through the field and we'll take these images, and then we'll provide the farmer with the image, the exact location, and any potential input that we have. We are not experts. We're not agronomists, so we try our best to give you solutions, but if we don't have any, then we'll find somebody who does.
We do have a particularly large quantity of expertise in hemp itself, just being out there in the fields and noticing things and kind of evolving with the industry, you know, in tandem. So I've worked as a hemp farmer. I've planted the hemp, I've laid plastic mulch, I've seen it irrigated in every way, shape, and form. You know, we've seen it in a lot of regions. We make note of and I'm one of those, you know, weird compulsive researchers. So I'll spend way too much time watching plant nerd videos. So I wouldn't call us experts, but we know a lot.
So how do you remove the males?
Very carefully. So we bring, I call it a kangaroo pouch, you know, for everybody else it'd be called a fanny pack, but I march out. Yeah, so once we fly the drone, we're going to get the locations of all the male plants, and then we're going to compile it into a map, right? And then we're going to discuss on which the fastest route into the field might actually be, whether we approach from the short end or wherever. And I load my fanny pack with probably 22 to 25, you know, 30-gallon garbage bags, right? We're bringing clippers over our shoulders, just, you know, like hedge clippers, I don't know what you call those. Yeah, hedge clippers. So we'll bring those out into the field. We'll navigate using our cell phones or whatever smart device that's GPS enabled directly to that position, right? And then the process, once we get to that plant, is we'll very carefully remove the top of the plant. You're going to have pollination. No matter what, you're going to have some pollination. But we've seen that the pollination radius can be, if you get in there in time, you can limit your pollination radius to like 6 foot. So, you know, if you're on, I don't know, 40-inch spacing, that's probably maybe 20, 30 plants out of 6,000 per acre. So you'd be, and actually I've seen some test results where some pollination is actually increasing cannabinoid production. So you can get, but that's a different story. So yeah, we'll top the plant, we'll very gently put it into a garbage bag, and then we'll, the remainder of the plant will very gently bend it over to below the canopy of the crop to minimize any of the pollen agitation, so that it falls, you know, directly on the ground and not on any of the female reproductive parts, the trichomes or anything like that. And then at that point, we snip the stalk, we fold it in half, and we put it in the bag, and then just like Santa Claus, we'll throw it over our shoulder and walk back to the edge of the field. And
you'll grab your ho, right? So
yeah, that's a little earlier in the season, but
yeah.
we will.
Okay.
That's you know, last year I grew 3,000 plants on an acre, and we end up pulling 900 of them.
Oh.
You know, when we'd pull as many as 400 on a Sunday afternoon, it was two of us. It was a lot of work. You know, can you talk about pricing? What do you charge for pulling males?
We do,
It's client specific, but our average between $8 and $12 an acre.
Per sweep. So
yeah.
we'll
How
go
much?
$8 and $12 an acre.
per sweep, and you want to have us sweeping every single week for minimum, I would say 4 weeks. If you want to get the maximum benefit, 8 weeks. It really depends on the price and the product. If you're farming for biomass versus a smokable hemp versus I can't imagine you would want to do this in a fiber crop. And this is really best done in a feminized seed or a transplant plot. So
I would never do non-feminized again.
yeah,
I learned that lesson.
We'd point them out for you. It'd be like, there's one, there's one. One.
I was gonna say you're not gonna do.
It wasn't hard to find the males in my field last year. That was not the problem.
Do you offer your service in Michigan? I know you guys are based in Colorado. Do you have facilities here or people here or what?
We got trucks in Colorado, and it's not a terribly long drive. I mean, we have a huge radius.
1,000 miles actually, but who's counting, right? So
that guy.
We are not limited to Colorado. We want to make service available for as many.
Can't quite hear what you're saying.
Hear you when
You're too far from the mic. I didn't quite hear what you said.
Oh, we're not limited to Colorado or the surrounding areas. We want to make this service or any of our services available for as many people as possible. So, we're working on ways our remote station is going to be a good application for that. And then we also have a pilot network that we can utilize to help out with that. But him and I prefer to be there with you guys because one of our biggest things is being able to help you in additional ways, telling your story, getting who you are out there and the hard work that you're doing is one of our most important things. We want to highlight you as a farmer.
Long story short, we'll come to Michigan.
Sarah, when we talked a little while ago, you had said that potentially maybe part of the service too is that farmers could fly the drone and send you the files, right? And you could also help that way too.
Yes. So the way we would do that is Jaron and I would come up for an initial visit or two to lay out the platform. And then if you have a certified 107 pilot, we would prefer it to be, we require it to be a certified 107 pilot just for regulatory purposes. But yeah, they would just go out there, press play on the drone and then send all the images back to me. And that would help reduce the cost per acre as well. So
if you wanted to in-house the data collection, we'd be more than willing to help you find a person with a 107, that's the remote pilot certification, train one of your guys or yourselves to get a 107, and then we'd also train you on the techniques and processes for operating in the field. So that would be very important. So if you wanted to make that approach, yes, we would be more than willing to license our processes and then walk with you along that journey, and then teach you everything you ever wanted to know about our hemp male detection and removal system. So that could be a very, very good option. But for 2 reasons, we would have to come up there and do the training. 1, we want to come and visit Michigan because it's wonderful up there. And 2, there really is some skill and finesse in inside of what we do. And there's, on any given day, you'd need to be able to navigate in and out of particular situations, high winds, if you get some GPS glitches, or if, every farmer and every farm plot is I need to find a different word. I want to say a snowflake, not in regards to the fact that they're soft by any means, but everyone's unique, So
hemping is hard.
Hemping is hard. It's incredibly difficult. Hemping ain't easy.
So let me ask you a couple questions. If a farmer that has a 107 license doesn't have a drone, can you lease them a drone, or do they have to buy a drone, or how would that play out?
Yeah, we could lease you a drone. Mavics aren't terribly expensive, so it might be a good option to purchase one yourself.
What does that go for typically? What kind of ballpark are we in?
I think airframe only for the pro is, I want to say $1,200, and then you start adding on. You would want Well, I guess if you're on site, you could do smaller portions every single day instead of one full-blown sweep. So 6-pack of batteries to go with it would be what, 150 a pop. So you'd be looking at $2,000 for a solid
Yeah,
kit.
that's what I figured. It'd be somewhere in the $2,000 ballpark. You know,
Yeah.
So.
So that would be about, I think, yeah, $2,000 would get you a very functional kit that you'd be able to fly for a long period of time and then kick us the photographs. We'd run it through our machine learning, and then we'd kick you a map and then help you with, guiding your crew or yourselves into the field. Now you need to make sure that you had, a GPS enabled device for getting back into the field. I think maybe $40-50 worth of additional flight control applications and stuff. You'd need, so yeah, the software and hardware cost is not necessarily going to be burdensome to a farmer.
Well, I mean, what it does is, you just mentioned that it makes you so much more efficient. You don't have to hire a bunch of people to go out in the field. I mean, how much does that cost, right?
Oh, that a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
So.
And if you can find the people at all, I know in Colorado we even with whatever 16-17% unemployment, we still have a farm labor problem. And we can't get H2A workers to work. Well, this was last year. I don't know if H2A workers can come work on hemp, but it's tough. It's tough. So the real need is having the ability to utilize what you got a whole heck of a lot more effectively.
Yeah.
The traditional roguing crews I've seen. I mean, last season we saw, just for weeds, we saw on like 400 acres. It was like 100-man team.
Wow.
And they were out there every single day. I mean, the costs that they were talking about putting into labor it was mind blowing. It was staggering. Yeah. And with the at least the CBD market, once the real farmers got into it, being in Colorado, you got the indoor pot growers, and then you got once the real farmers got into it, we saw a massive spike in production. So there's a flood of hemp on the market. I think the demand is still there. We just have, processing bottlenecks and marketing bottlenecks, and it hasn't really caught up quite yet to what real farmers can actually do, which is...
Yeah, it's the same thing here in Michigan, right, guys? Right, Dave and Blaine? The infrastructure is just not here yet, so...
Yeah, but it's coming.
Yeah.
So I think unfortunately, I think COVID hit everybody a little bit, including, the whole hemp market as well. So now, just to be... for people to understand too, is that even if a farmer is going to find their own drone on their property, there's still a registration process you have to go through to be able to do that. So just a few other steps you got to do if you're going to fly your own drone and use it for this purpose.
Yes.
Government always has to get their hands in there, and this is one that they've done as well. So
anybody can reach out to us with any specific questions. We're always happy to offer any advice that we can.
They would say, if you wanted to get a 107 right now, we'd walk you through the exact process, point you in the right direction, we'd even help you. So it would take about maybe, if you're really motivated, maybe a week and a half of hard studying, and then you go schedule your test, and then you're certified 107 pilot. And we'd be more than willing to be study buddies or whatever it took if you guys wanted to go down that route. But we still got to come to Michigan.
I think you should come to Blaine's farm and teach him how to do all this stuff, and then he's the example. What do you think?
And then I could do it. Yeah.
That would be totally fine.
Well, we'd love to have you. We'd certainly love to have you come visit the state. That's for sure. Right now, we're a little hot. Right now, we're going to be in the 90s for the next few days, but. Yeah,
That's
at least
all right.
it's all right.
Well, we have all these lakes up here you can jump into that keep you cool. That's it. You're never more than about 6 miles from water in Michigan.
That's also good. Yeah, we're jealous. So you guys get 90-degree heat waves. We get 105-degree heat waves, even in Colorado. And there's no water. It hasn't rained in years. Has it been years?
This year, at least a month, I say.
Yeah.
I did my graduate school at the University of Missouri in Columbia, and we went through a stretch one summer where we went 90 days over 100 degrees. So, yeah, that's brutal. So,
And it's a different kind of hot down there.
oh, yeah.
Why don't you guys make sure that you type your website and stuff in the chat so that people have that. They want to get hold of you and see more stuff on there. So.
And if anyone has any questions, if you can enter them in the chat.
We do have just a couple more things we'd like to show you. So one of our other things that we're trying to do is what we call barn owl vision. And so since we're already out there doing metal detection or doing crop monitoring, we always have these great images and 3D panorama tours that we already are taking. So we are also, for you as a farmer, putting that onto barn owl vision and then sharing that with any interested parties who might want to buy your biomass or your CBD product or specifically your tomatoes or whatever else you grow. So this is kind of what that looks like. If you want to pull up the pano.
Yeah. Well, I've placed a link that says 360 Go Rest. This is it's a 3D panorama tour, right? So we kind of are using this in replacement of a windshield tour. You know, you got 1,000 acres or whatever, and you're driving around, you only see the edge of the field. You don't see it from a great angle. So this is kind of to give a more effective supplement to it. And you can fly the drone really quickly to get a lot of this stuff. So I will share my screen once again. Let's go to.
While you're setting that up, we have a question that's come in from Jeremy. Do you use multispectral cameras at all?
We have a multispectral camera. Particularly, we focus in the band of near infrared. So we can produce a lot of those vegetative indices, but we have not found, and I've done tests on this, any spectral difference between a male plant and a female plant or a hermaphrodite plant. So you will see, and it's not discernible between a disease or a particular stressor to a sex change or a reproductive status change. So there's very interesting things that you can see indeed, but for this particular application, multispectral we found does not work. So as good as, actually seeing and being able to identify. So the main difference between a male plant and a female plant or a hermaphrodite plant is the geometry of the plant itself. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the shape, and we're looking for so the shape.
So can you pick out that male before it gets to the?
It has to show some pollen sacs, but we can find it when it's crazy small. Just remember the images of the corn where you can see the pollen sacs on the tassels. The pollen sacs on corn tassels are almost the exact same size as pollen sacs on a hemp plant. So yes, we can find it in very early stages as long as you use that maintenance routine. So it's very important to get in there. I guess you guys are a little bit further north, so it'd probably go earlier.
August, mid-August.
Mid-August.
When you start flowering mid-August. Now the grain, on the other hand, that pollinates, that goes to flower really early. But
and we've seen varietal differences too. So you kind of just want to be, heads up, like starting after the solstice. Just kind of watching it. So we're seeing actually a fiber variety in the San Luis Valley. Which is already going into full-blown reproductive stages, and it's not like a ruderalis hybrid or anything like that. It's just, as far as I know, it's just normal hemp. So we are seeing other autoflower varieties that have gone into full reproductive stages and are. I wonder if I have any of those pictures, but
Squirrel.
Pretty easily. So this is one of our clients here in Alamosa, and so we take this and we provide it for the farmer to be able to monitor his or her own field from a distance, and then we also take that same thing and we're providing. That's what we use as kind of our marketing tools to highlight you as a farmer. So from this, we can look at different issues in the field, and then we combine that with our other mapping techniques that we use for plant health and other things. And then if you go to a different section, we also put images into, I think there's some on the potatoes. We also put images.
What crop would this be that we're looking at, you know?
We're
That
looking
one's
at
wheat.
But wheat for people. This is people food.
Yeah.
This is a bread farm. And yeah, we're really excited about this. I've never seen anybody actually grow wheat that I'm gonna eat. So that's super nice. Here's a potato plot. So you can see the potatoes are kind of early. We can kind of get a feel for you know, how your plants are emerging. We've also got we take crazy low photographs of these as well.
If we're drilling seed, can you do like reports on germination rates on the
Yeah,
seed?
we do plant population reports. We can do stand establishment reports. It's a little easier on larger plants, but yeah, I'll give it the old college try on
stand establishment. Is that like the height as it progresses?
I'm just yeah population. So we do a ratio of your yeah, here let's just
We have an example report that we'll show you.
lots of examples.
Yeah.
Actually,
When we get into the data side, we kind of
so
lose track.
here's a plant population report. This is a hemp plot on a half circle that we shot last year. So basically what we're going to do for this particular application is we're going to kind of visually delineate homogeneous zones to approximate what the field is looking like, because you know fields don't really always do the same thing. So I've got these zones: zone Echo, zone Delta, zone Charlie, zone Bravo, and zone Alpha, which is the larger portion. Anything that's not in these zones, that we block out a quarter acre in hemp. I'm not going to do a quarter acre in corn. Yeah, when we're starting to get into the plus 15,000 plants per acre, no, sorry guys. But yeah, so we've delineated these zones. We can tell that the planted acres is going to be 62 planted acres. Your average plant per acre is 2,849 on this particular plot, which is kind of concerning because they planted at a much higher rate. But
For
yeah,
CBD?
yeah, this is a CBD crop. So we got a total plant approximation of 178,491 plants, and then we can plug in approximate yields. So if you were to average 1 pound of biomass per plant, or 1.5 pounds of biomass per plant, or 2 pounds of biomass per plant, I mean, anything you'd like. So it'll give you a little bit better feel of what you're gonna get. So that's this particular application. Here's another application. We wanted to test so there was this one plot where the males started to show earlier, right? So we blocked out a quarter acre actually in the field using our drone data. And then we went up and down that quarter acre and we flagged all the plants with some pink flags that we saw were male plants, right? So we got a male percentage ratio of 4.98% males, which was very contradictory to what the seed company was suggesting their feminization ratio would be. So if you guys run a seed company, don't call us. We'll probably expose your numbers.
Good to know.
Well, truth and transparency, you know.
Indeed. And then here's another technique that we're using. We're trying to, so we put together what's called a weed pressure map, right? And we can, so this was a fun experiment. This was my sweet corn plot in Olate there, right? So we got a nut sedge emerging in these particular areas, and the farmer didn't really kind of know how to approach it. From an agronomic standpoint, I wouldn't know what the heck to spray on it, but he wanted to run a test, whether it would be better to use a 3-man backpack team versus a 4-wheeler pulling a sprayer with a 33-foot swath width, right? So we plugged in some assumptions. The 4-wheeler can't turn around in the middle of the field, and the backpack spray team would travel at 3 miles an hour with a 3-foot swath width. Probably a little more generous would be the reality of the situation, but on this one particular plot, the weed pressure extent, and we've got techniques to get back into the field as well, right? So we can all, bundle this up into a nice piece of data and then ship it to your cell phone. You can use your cell phone. I actually attached a cell phone holder to a backpack sprayer, and so yeah, you can navigate that way while you're spot spraying if that's an approach you'd like to take. But just on this one plot is a 20 some odd acre plot. We had 2.5 acres of weed pressure. Wow, the backpack spray team would be much slower. We found that based on, so I used just an input of atrazine, which is pretty cheap. I think running around $11, $12 per acre for that particular chemical. And the marginal gains are going to increase with the cost of the application material. You know what I'm saying? So if you use something a little more, I don't know, fancier or an organic spray, then these returns are going to actually increase. But we found that on this one application, you're going to save $35 by using the human team versus I think the total cost of application with the human team was somewhere around $70. The total cost of application with the 4-wheeler person going up and down just in these particular zones. So we're going to eliminate zones Echo and Foxtrot as they're non-issues. So the 4-wheeler would go up and down the entirety of Zone Bravo, Zone Charlie, and Zone Delta. So yeah, we save $35 on that versus if you were to spray the entire plot with a full rig, that would be a $300 savings. So I don't know. It was just we uncover opportunities that I had my money on the 4-wheeling team, honestly. I was like, all right, people, am I going to be the backpack sprayer? But maybe, yeah. So here's this. So that's one example of what we can do, just using precision technology and information to uncover opportunities to find savings, not just monetarily, right? Because in agriculture right now, we're addicted to spraying stuff. And unfortunately, it's causing us actually a lot more problems than we anticipated. And, Bayer and Monsanto, they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to inform you of this. They're going to say, yeah, spray it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Spray that whole field. Matter of fact, do it twice.
Yeah, burn it down. No, let it rip. But yeah, so we're causing weed resistance. We're stressing out the soil. We're destroying our soil biology. So a much more modified approach would benefit the farmer and the consumer, and really everybody, all the stakeholders, much more greatly if we used a precision approach. And it's just good news. You won't have to burn down your soil biology in Echo or in the south side of Delta. So I don't know. It's exciting to me to uncover those little bits. So that's kind of what we're.
But you're a research nerd, so that's why it's exciting to you, right? So.
Yes, I do. But I also get out in the field and hoe those weeds. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got about 10 minutes.
Ask another question here. He wants to know, what processing software do you use?
We use a variety of different pieces of processing software. We use Drone Deploy and Pix4D for our photogrammatic stitching. We use QGIS for our for a lot of this report building, and QGIS is awesome. It's free and open source software that I highly recommend if you guys find a lot of uses for it. Yeah, donate to the cause, because these guys are putting together some really great stuff.
What was that software again, that last one?
QGIS. And so there's a little bit of a learning curve, but there's tons of plugins. It's phenomenal the things you can accomplish with this piece of software. I mean, or if you're good at, ArcGIS or whatever it is, I'd stick with it. I'm not saying don't use any of these more commercialized pieces of software. I'm just saying QGIS is there, it's ready, it's fully capable, and you guys can, dabble with it without having to pay a $1,500 a month license fee. So that's a very handy tool.
Excellent.
We use Lapintor for our 3D panorama integrations, and we use we do a lot of marketing videos and stuff. So if you check out our website or our YouTube page or our Facebook, you'll see a lot of our drone videos. Yeah, we're using Premiere Pro for most of our video editing, and so there's a whole suite of software that we're using.
A lot.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me anymore how much science there is in farming. I'm kind of new to farming, and it's just what you guys are bringing to the table is amazing. So thanks for sharing it with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited.
Yeah, no, this is super cool.
Yeah.
Bummer on the syrup, man.
Well, we might have a surprise for you. We'll see. So, Blaine, speaking of syrup and food, is it about that time?
Yeah, it could be that time. Yeah, it could be.
I gotta get the hat now. I'm gonna get the hat.
Well, I won't limit. I just want to touch on a couple things before I put on the hat.
Okay.
We haven't heard any word yet on the CFAP program for hemp growers yet, but a lot of information got submitted, and I do suspect that right after the first holiday here, we're probably going to hear something, and I do think that hemp growers probably will be able to qualify for that program. So, keep track of your harvest, keep track of what pounds you have. A lot of people were not able to process, so they've been sitting on it, so they've got all that. So just like I say, I think first part of July we'll probably have some good news on that for everybody that was harvested last year and wasn't able to sell their crop or get it marketed. Also, last weekend I helped a farmer plant a few plants. We got some labor. So I do have connections for if anybody needs some labor down in the southwest part of the state. David Perez is his name, and the guys did a great job. I thought it was going to take them most of the day, and by the time we got down there and got things going, like 3 hours later, they were all done. So a great crew, and they did a great job for that farmer down there. So there's some good news there coming out. Hopefully we'll have some assistance. And now, the favorite part of the hour. There we go. Becky said you couldn't see it too well last night. Now I got it right now. I can see there. There's my hammer. Fruit season's coming in here in Michigan, and I live in Ottawa County, which is like the heart of the blueberry area. So we have blueberry hemp seed salad recipe as today's recipe. Yeah, it's even healthy for you, Mike.
Yeah, there you go. I could use a little healthy, right? So
the ingredients are pretty simple, pretty much really whatever salad you like to do, but this one has 2 cups of salad greens. I like kind of like the spinach, baby spinach, things like that. But 1 small cucumber sliced, half a cup of blueberries fresh. I particularly like the first ones that come in, which would be the blue crops. Those are the ones that I usually freeze when I get them. And 1 to 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds or hemp hearts. You can be a little more gracious on that if you like. And then they've got a creamy dressing here, 1/4 cup of tahini, if I said that right, 1 tablespoon lemon juice, 1 large cloves, fresh garlic, minced or crushed, 6 to 8 tablespoons of water, and salt and pepper to taste. And you mix that all together in a bowl till it's smoothie and creamy, and you put your salad together, and away you go. So a great 4th of July recipe there. everybody to enjoy this weekend. So
All these recipes are linked up on iHempMichigan.com under events. You'll find the iHemp Hour and you'll see the recipe link there.
So with that, Sarah and Jaron, we thank you very much for being on the show today and helping with your great technology. You know, there's a lot of other services that they have besides what we talked about here, folks. So make sure you go check out their site and see what else they can do. And anybody else got a last minute they want to throw anything in there?
Gene Ellen mentioned that it's a great idea for organic growing. Organic production. I think it does. You know, it provides real transparency in the whole process.
Is that your own brand that you're showing there, Jaron? Is that a brand you guys do? You're showing the CBD?
Am I seeing something? I don't see anything.
He was showing a bottle.
I think he's muted. I think he's muted there.
Hold on, unmute him maybe.
Oh, hold on. Somehow my guess I didn't close out.
Operator error here on David's part.
That's it. Human error.
Yeah.
You figure that out.
He may have to unmute on his side.
There we go.
Ah.
There we go.
All right, now we're good. Okay.
No, this is not our brand, but we are. So the farmers that we work with that do the best job at growing their hemp and really give a crap, we do market their products. So we just wanted to do a shameless plug for our farmers in Kansas. This is the Prairie Hills Hemp Company, and they offer full spectrum anti-free CBD tinctures and orange cream flavor and peppermint. And yeah, I just wanted to show you.
That's a very good shameless plug, by the way. You did that well. So
so Prairie, what is it again? Prairie what?
Prairie Hills Hemp Company. So that's
Prairie Hills. Yeah. Okay, all right. Another thing everybody can take a peek at then. We got a couple of really good shows planned coming up for the future. We're going to have Lori put on next week. She's going to talk about white labeling and some other things for those of you that may be making your own product and doing the same thing with that, being able to market that and how to all those steps, of course. And then MDART came out with their number 24 one, which talked about a lot of things you have to do if you're going to be marketing your own product. Make sure that you're staying legal and right on that. And then the following week, we're going to have on a company that actually can help with the certification process for a lot of farmers, where they can track the product from the seed, from the field, to the processor, to the consumer. And the consumer actually can have an app that they can read the tag on, and if they can read the tag, then they know that that product has gone through certification process and is a good, reliable product. So, and then also something that's coming for everybody is going to be regulation as far as food safety goes. So we are putting this product in our body one way or the other, either ingesting it, smoking it, or again with hemp hearts or anything else. And so Hemp Authority is trying to get ahead of the game and keep the industry out of as much regulations as we can for as long as we can. So we're going to hopefully have them on as well, talking about the certification process and how to go about doing that. So that's going to be the next couple shows for us. So we're excited about that. And then we're going to get into testing probably that latter week of July, because pretty much after that, everybody wants to start testing anyways. We want to make sure everybody understands the correct way to do that, or the way the state wants it done. Remember, this year in Michigan, we're still able to go ahead and do our own, pulling our own samples and send them in for compliance purposes. But that'll change after November 1st when we get into the new program. So, and we'll probably have an update then on legislation too and what's been submitted to USDA. So.